So I just wanted to do a quick video and kind of talk about a few things as we go forward. And I know we're all missing one another, and we miss that face-to-face interaction. And unfortunately, we don't have necessarily a timeline to say, well, at this date, these things are going to be okay, or this, that, or the other. We just don't quite know yet. But I want to get ourselves in the right mindset and kind of thinking these things through, so that when we are able to meet face to face, we've thought through how to do so, and we're ready to take that on. So we don't necessarily have a timeline, and one of the things to think of is, at this time, we have a surplus of information and a lack of information. We have a surplus. There's noise on every hand for us. And then at the same time, there's also lack of information. And so it's difficult to kind of try to navigate all of that. To be completely honest, for me, it's taken kind of shutting off a lot of that news, shutting off social media for the past week or so, limiting my news to just a few outlets and kind of looking at those things and just taking those in. For me, it was just becoming such a distraction. I wasn't able to spend time with my family. My mind was just continually rolling on all of these different things. And so for me, that's what it took, was just kind of shutting some of that noise down to be able to do what I need to do for my family, for the church, and to be able to accomplish what needs to be done. As we think about things opening back up, every area of our life is affected by this in one way or another. We think of schools being out, and we think of sporting events and all of these different things. And when things do start to open up, we are going to see some differences. And some of those things may be good, some of those things may be frustrating, but on every level we're going to see some differences. Hopefully, as we look at the differences, hopefully we're looking for the positive differences. Hopefully we're looking at those guys that are wiping down the carts at Walmart. Man, that's a good positive. Keep those guys on. Make that a permanent position. And some of these other more cautious things. If you're in the habit of washing your hands, good. That's good. Keep doing that. Those types of things. But we're also going to probably see some differences with like the social distancing. Fire codes, things like that. I don't think that'll affect us. But we want to kind of think through some of these things. We can't say for sure exactly some of the guidelines that may be put out for churches to follow. As guidelines are put out for businesses and churches and all of these other things, we want to do our best to follow those things, regardless of what our thoughts are, or if we say, well, we're not concerned about it. We want to do our best, and I'll give you a couple reasons. We want to make our decisions not based on the person that is healthy and that would probably not, it wouldn't phase them that much if they got it. They have a good survival rate. But we want to kind of base our protocol more on the older ones, the ones that are at high risk, the ones that perhaps would contract it easier and would also deal with it on a worse level. So that's kind of where we want to make some of those guidelines, so that we're looking out for those, I guess we could say the weakest among us, but just those that would have the most to lose and that would be at high risk. That's kind of the place where we're going to make those decisions at. And so if the social distancing perhaps seems a bit extreme, just think about, we're doing our best to protect some of those that are at high risk, and that's kind of the idea. A couple different things that we're going to take into consideration here. We're going to do our best as we make different decisions to make balanced decisions. In other words, we don't want to make decisions out of a fearful attitude, and yet we don't want to make decisions out of a I forgot my word, a dismissive attitude, to say, oh, there's nothing to worry about. We also don't want to make our decisions out of, oh no, what are we going to do? We want to have just a healthy, wise concern over these things. And so that's what we want to guide us as we think about the, whatever it might be. We want it to guide us. As we see some of these differences, and I'm just throwing some things out there, my mind's been working on some different things just to see kind of, at whatever point they give some guidelines, how we can put them into practice. Let's just say, for instance, that we say, well, for a time period, we're going to need to kind of do a blended service. In other words, everybody together, families seated together in some space. Maybe that's going to be the case. If that's the case, then we'll change things up, and we're still going to preach and teach and edify and all of these things, even if it looks a little bit different. We're going to use that same ingenuity that we've used for the past few weeks, and we're just going to implement that into the church setting. And so we can be frustrated over these things, or we can be excited that we're going to have some new opportunities that perhaps we've not had before. We've had some new opportunities these past few weeks. I was talking to Graham on the phone last week and trying to explain how she can get onto our YouTube channel. And I mean, that's a new thing for her. That's exciting. And, for her to be able to experience that. So we're all trying new things, and we want to keep that attitude going, and realize that even if some things are different, we're still gonna be gathered around the same book that we've always been gathered around. I want to point out one thing regarding this, and that is perspective. So each of us are coming with a different perspective, and one of the things that kind of builds our perspective is our life experience. So each of us have different life experiences, and so we're coming at this with different perspectives. And so for the person that's been healthy their life, they're going to approach this with one perspective. For somebody that perhaps has struggled with a chronic illness their whole life, they're going to come at it from a different perspective. Somebody that perhaps is older and concerned about their health, they're going to come at it from a different perspective. So they're going to take some different steps. They're going to take some different, safety measures. And that's okay. We're all able to take those different things. And if somebody has something, a different safety measure, then that's fine. And if they don't have, then that's fine. We're gonna do our best to work with all of those things. We're all different people coming together, and so we're gonna do our best to exercise grace in those areas. And I'm gonna share just a little bit personally where I'm at with it, and my life experience, and why I'm kind of taking things the way that I am. I have been erring on the side of caution throughout all this, and the reason kind of stems from about 6 years ago. I came down with whooping cough, pertussis, and kind of a long story there, but I came down with it. It was really bad. It was the worst thing I've ever been through. It was something that stayed and stuck around for a long time. Caused a lot of problems with my vocal cords, caused problems with my lungs, caused problems even like with my gag reflex, things like that, swallowing. All of those things have been affected by that respiratory illness. So, that's why at this point, when if I mow the lawn without a mask on, my lungs turn against me. I mean, it's kind of crazy. So for me, as I hear about a respiratory illness, I don't want any part of that. I've already lived through one, and I know it wasn't fun, and I still live with the effects of that on a daily basis and the damage it caused. So for me, I'm thinking, man, I'm going to take whatever precautions necessary. I'm going to do what I need to do, but at the same time, I'm going to take precautions that I am able to take within reason. And so that's kind of where I've been at with it, is just trying to be safe about those things. A lot of weight comes down on especially guys, as you're the provider, and as you think, man, if something were to happen and to my health, and already going through one thing, I know the harmful effects. And so for me, I've taken some extra precautions, and I know other people have too. Our neighbors here, they're in their 80s, and they usually, they take their car to get their mail. You understand that? And they get their mail and come back. Usually they'll roll down the window and they'll talk. And right now we've just had, they wave, they give us the thumbs up, they look at the kids, they kind of, you can tell them saying, oh, look how cute, and then, they go on, and just taking some of those precautions. So as we go forward, we're going to do our best to exercise grace in all these areas and allow for that. We're going to do our best to follow the guidelines that are put out for the safety of our members. If you don't want to follow them for your safety, then think about the safety of some of our other members that perhaps have some of those higher risk categories. So just in thinking things through, we're looking forward to meeting together. We just want to make sure that we're ready to do it the right way, and to make sure that we have the maximum amount of protection for our people as we go about that. So we'll let everybody know when that time comes, and right now it's just kind of a week to week and going on, and still studying and things like that with the videos. If you have any questions or any concerns, you say, I'm not sure where you're coming from, or what do you think about this or that, just give me a call, and we'll talk about it. So we're looking forward to these things, excited about these things, and just praying about them and asking for God's wisdom in all of them. Hope you have a great day.